Alright, hello everyone. Want to cover today what I've been working on. I've got a little bit done, not too much. Yeah, where to begin? So, I guess first off, we're going to pick up where we left off, where I was trying to get abilities to work, and I realized, oh man, I might need to create like a DSL or domain-specific language. So I was kind of worried, and I was looking at Lua, and apparently every single Lua framework out there has no version, and people don't understand the importance of versioning, so I did not go with any of those. But what I did find was this cool thing called Expression. Expression, it's this little tiny language written for Go, where you can just do these little quick one-liners, and you can bind variables to it, and you can bind functions to it. So it seemed like very, very nice for what I want, and I will demonstrate what I got for that. I didn't implement all of it because I needed to get the actual abilities in, so I was working more on getting all the ability stuff in, basically. So what I got is this. So we have our datas now, our data directory, which has right now just kind of silly stuff for our abilities. So as a reminder, abilities are based off of multiple different types of IDs or types, ability types. So we have like damage types, we have debuff types, movement types, and support types. So one ability will pull in various properties from each one of those types, and then we can kind of mix and match them to see what we want to do with them. Now, those need to be slotted, so I need to say this is for ability slot 1, 2, or 3. And one thing I realized is I wanted to allow characters to have multiple loadouts, so you could choose different types of things. So you could say, oh, in this case, I want to have ability 1 be this type of attack, ability 2 to be this one, my ultimate to be this. It allows you to kind of customize your character a little bit, which I think will be super important for making the gameplay a little bit more dynamic and more fun. So hopefully that'll work out. What I didn't add, and I need to, is like a cost, because I want the similar to how Atlas Reactor did it, where you have a certain number of points that you get, and then you can only allow like modifying ability 1 would be 1 to 3 points, 3 being kind of making it more damage or more whatever, more useful, and each one has 1 to 3 points, and you have to choose and kind of mix and match. So you can't choose all level 3s for the abilities. You have to decide which ones you want to be more strong and which ones aren't. So I think that'll again make it more interesting. So that's where I left off. Everything else I think I did. One thing I started to do was to really fill out the creator. So the creator is going to be actually loading the data. So we have, using Go embed, characters, abilities, damage, debuff, movements. All those are going to be on compile time baked into the binary. So we're all good there. We don't have to worry about copying over all these files. So those are really helpful. And the creator goes through, and I'll cover build character in a second here, but load is the first initial point, and this is going to be called from the main function. So it's going to initialize once, read the CSV files once, do the mapping of the abilities to their damage and movement and debuff IDs or whatever. And yeah, it's just that I don't have to do it every single time a character is selected. We have to go through this whole process again. So this should make it a little bit more optimized. So what we end up doing is we load the abilities. First we load the characters, After characters are loaded, we then load the abilities. We load all of them in this order, so damage, support, debuff, movement, and then character abilities. Character abilities are the actual ability itself, not the composable aspects or composable types. So this is a little bit redundant, but I mean it gets the point across, where you iterate over the abilities, you find the damage IDs, you load those for that particular character. Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward, just unmarshalling CSV files, loading the abilities, so all of it's resolved. There is potentially a chance that one character or multiple characters will share the same abilities, so it's just this kind of lookup table and see abilities that allows us to do that. And yeah, the rest is pretty cookie cutter going through. Whoa, didn't even do that. So what else did we have to change? Character, we needed to change a little bit. We need to now, when the character is locked in, the locked in needs to send along the selected abilities. So this message basically says for ability 1, I want this ID, and ability 2, this ID, because again, the client's going to have all this information as well. So we set the abilities, we create this new ability object, which I created, and this just has, it's almost like the movement one, where it tracks where you're moving, your current location, your movement buffer, etc. This one handles more of any of the abilities, the selected abilities, current ability, maybe an ability stack. So if they're queuing up a bunch of abilities or 1 or 2 abilities that they're going to do, this is the object that will manage all of that. And I'm still not decided, but I think this is also going to apply abilities. Although, if you look at the character has character data, which is kind of the base set of information, the base health, shield, armor, and then the character is going to have their actual health, shield, and armor, energy, and points, and whatnot, as well as possible distance they can move, damage stacks, heal stacks, etc. So I'm still not sure if I'm going to apply abilities to the character or to the abilities object. I will figure that out. But one thing I do need to do is have this kind of tick statement, because we need to apply these energy buffs or damage ticks to the character, and I think this is a good place to do it. So the session would call for each of the team members on the resolution phase. They would tick it to make sure that any damages have been applied to it, do checks to make sure they're dead or not, etc. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. So yeah, the one major aspect was like, okay, for the abilities, how do we handle conditions that are kind of dynamic? Like, can this character shoot through a wall? Is there a wall actually in front of me when I want to use my ability? So this is going to require some sort of, or any of the other issues that I went through when I was looking at Atlas Reactor's abilities, go through those to see if there's any kind of special conditions. And that brings me to the next thing, which is the expression library. So this thing is really neat because it's super concise. You can only run a single line of code. It has a stack of just like one, basically. So you can't chain a bunch of commands. You can't put in entire scripts, but I don't think I really need that. I'm just going to be doing very simple checks, getting the result, and then determining if the ability was a success or not. And since it's all within Go, it shouldn't be too bad. Luo, you would have to either call out to a C API, which causes tons of CGO calls and runtime stuff, and yeah, all that memory management stuff goes out the window. Whereas this is going to be, I think, a little bit faster. There's definitely some interface conversion going on, which is probably going to take a little bit of a hit, but it's only going to run once a tick, so I'm not too worried. But yeah, it's pretty slick. Like this little code will run a map of points, so you pass in points to the environment. Let's say this is the character point, and this is the points of, I don't know, enemies or something. So you compile it, and you can pre-compile this as well, so we don't have to compile it every single time. We pre-compile the environment, an empty environment, excuse me, and then we run it with the real environment. So during that tick phase, it would have this environment with the proper data of the current life cycle. So we run this, and you can see it ran the distance from the character to the current point. So the first one's 1.3 and then 4.4. So we just run our distance check, which I just copied over for demonstration purposes. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about that. I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know if it's really going to work. But I had to at least come up with some sort of temporary solution, so I think I will go with this. And yeah, so once that was all in, I realized what I need to do for conditions, feeling pretty good. But then I realized I'm now at the point where I need to create like character selections and skill selections and all this stuff. I don't want to do this in Phaser. So I decided to start moving everything over to Unreal Engine. So I will show what I've got so far. It's very little. I forgot pretty much to be fair, I didn't know too much about Unreal Engine in the beginning. I've only used it to write little simple games. But yeah, it's taking a lot longer to do things. It took me like an hour and a half to get a WebSocket client to work. So yeah, it's going to go a lot slower from here on out, I think, because there's all sorts of stuff you have to worry about, like camera control and all the state information passing back and forth. I don't even have the serialization stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be a while till this thing is playable again, for sure. So yeah, I think. Oh, and another thing that I didn't want to do is I had to update the interface for the client to have that selected abilities on lock character. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go over to Phaser. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go over to Phaser. I'm done with Phaser. I want to move on to Unreal. So that's what I did. So the first thing I wanted to do, usually, this is not what I want to be looking at. Oh yeah, it is. Sorry, I can't make this font bigger down here, so I apologize. None of this can get, the only thing I was able to make bigger is my output lock, which is not helpful. So I apologize. I wonder if I can use like the screen magnifier. Was it plus?
Desktop.
No, don't play stuff. Oh, that is so annoying. Oh, sorry, I can't do that. I don't know, maybe if I need to zoom in on something, I'll do that, but yeah, no, not so much. Also, I didn't load this up. Right, so what do I have? So there's two ways of going about this. One is to get the level generation working. The other is to get the UI working. And I kind of need the UI first so I can do the connection stuff. I wanted to make sure everything was working for that. So I'm going to get the connection stuff working. And I might do in tandem getting the level generation working. I'm probably just going to use placeholder meshes for the level and stuff. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. So let's walk through. Actually, no, maybe I will zoom in the structure a bit. That's not what I meant to do. Plus. So zoom in. Oh, it's still super tiny. Anyways, engine content we don't care about. So the way I've structured it so far is I have my UI folder with character selection stuff. I've just started on this, not too much there. This is the menu level. So the menu level is going to have a widget blueprint, which is this. Oh my God, nope, I can't do this. This zoom thing is just not going to work for me. So my menu looks like menu switcher, connected menu, main menu, connect menu. All right. So all I've got working so far is connecting to a WebSocket server, which took me like 2 hours. It was pretty painful, mainly because I forgot how delegates work and where to put everything. Yeah, so that hasn't been fun. So the way this works is you just put in, for testing, it's going to be put in the WebSocket server. Obviously, in-game will connect to a proper domain with TLS certificates, all that good stuff. Once you put in your server information and hit connect and it connects properly, it switches to using the menu switcher, switches to the game menu. This is not wired up yet. I just put this in like a couple hours ago. But yeah, that's what the UI is going to look like. And when you select characters, it's going to switch this to a, what's it called, screen capture 2D, which is what I was just kind of working on, where you kind of set up this 3D scene. You set up your screen capture. I'm going to have it take, it's almost like taking a picture of this mesh, but it's real time. You then set the texture target to that. Was it like, yeah, you create a render target. You have to create all this stuff just to get it into that menu system, because that menu system is very different than everything else. That's kind of limited in what you can add. You can't just like throw a static mesh into it. So it took me a little while to figure that out, and I'm still not done yet. So, but the basic idea is I'm going to have these different render targets, and I'll switch to each character. All the characters should be in. So like looking at the geometry, I really wish I could zoom in here. I think I can make this bigger. Can I make this bigger? Collections view? No, I don't want to do that. Oh, view options. There we go. Scale. Boom. All right. So here's all the static meshes for my characters, and then inside of the geometry of the textures, which I think some of those, yeah, a lot of the noise ones are used. Yep, all these, where are the, oh, materials, there's materials. So we have, like for broken geometry, we have this material. If you look at this material, these are pretty good. Again, I bought this is just an asset stuff. I did not make all this because these things can get really crazy. This is basically just a shader. It's Unreal Engine's way of doing shaders. But yeah, these are like super complex, at least for me, because I've never done shader work really. But yeah, and all this has to be kind of set to the object that it's going to be, the material is going to be applied to, otherwise none of these things will work properly. That's kind of cool. I never noticed I did that. Anyways, so yeah, these things can get complex. I look forward to creating my own because I think it'll be pretty fun. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. So I have my geometry materials, I have my meshes, I have my, oh, and this is a C++ project, so everything is kind of, it's kind of weird with Unreal. You do your base C++ class, and then you create a blueprint instance of it. So for example, my menu system is this menu. If you look at the top part, it says parent class main menu. So it's basically inheriting from the class that I wrote. So if we open that up in Visual Studio, you can see, so Unreal, if you're not familiar with it, has a lot of these macros, like it says a U class, and this just is dealing with the life cycle of the objects. So it does the garbage collection for you. So it has built-in garbage collection on these types of objects, depending on which ones you create. Yeah, and then other than that, it's kind of, it's not standard C++, but you can use standard C++ as long as you kind of know what you're doing, because there's definitely cases where if you try to do normal C++ stuff, like have destructors or something, the way that they do garbage collection, it's not going to play nice. So you got to be kind of careful. Another aspect that took me a little bit to kind of wrap my head around was the various objects. So there's, I'm just going to open up the chart I found because I didn't want to spread misinformation. Game flow chart. So this is how kind of the engine starts and your games run. So you have the editor that starts up. It's also called Pi or play in editor. U-engine starts, press play and editor button, creates a U-game instance, initializes Pi, initialize, create U online session, register delegates, create Pi game instance, then the worlds begin play, start match. So the kind of top level service here would be the game instance, which you override in your game. And these parts are the kind of the same, mostly the same. So the actual standalone image that you will push out to your customers would be following this kind of flow here, which made me think, okay, so game instance is the place where I need to handle WebSocket connections, because it's like a singleton service. There's only one per game, so this seems like a good place to handle all the messaging. So I can basically have delegates or message passing or some other method to push out the information to the world or whatever else I need to talk to. Ooh, hitting cables here. Another reason that I chose is because I've used this for creating like a little Steam game, and they had you handle the online session stuff and register delegates there. So it seems like this is where you'd want to put networking stuff. So yeah, that's why I'm doing that. That being said, there was definitely a lot of complexity with passing messages and when they get passed and all these other things that you have to write. So I took kind of a weird roundabout way, but if we look at the game instance, it has, I'm going to close this one up. It's inheriting from, inheriting three instance or interfaces basically, or these two interfaces. One is the menu interface. So if we look at the menu interface, it's just for passing the collect call, or connect call, excuse me. And that is defined in the main menu, which is connect. Wait a minute. Is it connected? No, it's the other way. It's coming from this to the on button clicked, set active widget, connect menu, and menu interface connect. So this is telling the game instance, hey, here's the server address. So it's a way for these two classes to communicate to each other. There probably is a better way, but whatever, it works for now. And yeah, the main menu, you have to kind of bind a lot of stuff. So like every button needs to be bound, every editable text box, the menu switchers, these all need to be kind of set up before on initialization. So we make sure that we have everything that we need. For example, yeah, like setting up the button widgets. I will need to put all the other ones, but connect button's the only one that's, right now it has a dynamic delegate bound to it. And yeah, so you click that button from the blueprint version, it goes down to this one, and then it calls the on connect button clicked, which says, hey, do I have an interface, menu interface? Yes. Okay, does server address text box have something? Yes. Then you get the text and you just pass it across to the game instance. So that's how that message gets across. Now, WebSockets, this took me the reason it took me 2 hours is, one, Unreal changed like how modules are loaded between when I last used it, which was 4.25 and 4.7 something. 4? No. Is that right? What version of Unreal am I in? Is there even about? 4.27. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they changed the way that modules work. Usually you used to put, anytime you added new things, it seems to be an extra module names now, where you'd put in, so Unreal Engine is a modular system. If you need different modules to be part of your game, like some things will not be included by default. Like if, I don't know, let's what's another good example? I don't know. Some other module that you need to explicitly tell the build system, like, yes, I'm going to include this into my stuff. And I don't think just this worked. I actually had to go into my U project file and add it in here, additional dependencies, which I never had to do before. I didn't even know this was a text file. So once I added it in here and I regenerated my Visual Studio Code stuff, then I could use the WebSockets. But before that, nothing was working. Another thing that's broken is VS Code is not like a first-class citizen, so I had to find an extension installed. What was it called? It was like UE. I had to download it. I forget what is it called. Is there a way to view my... Anyways, there is this extension that will help you get VS Code, IntelliSense, and stuff to work. It still is a huge memory hog. I think my language server is taking about 2 gigs right now because it doesn't just load in your code, it loads in the entire engine, which is, as you can imagine, extremely huge. So be aware of that. You need to have a pretty beefy machine to do this. Don't need to be in content source. Right. So we covered the menu system, message passing. The other part was the network. So I created the WSSocket. I kind of wrap it so I can have this network interface so I can communicate back to the game instance. And then it has the default or the usual connecting and sending. And then for each of the events, I had to create, actually, I'm not even sure I need these delegate handlers. I'll get into the delegates in a second. But yeah, actually I don't need those anymore. So I can delete these. Boop, boop, boop. So one thing that I immediately realized is I forgot their whole delegation system. It's kind of complex. And I was unable, so the other one I showed was add dynamic, where you could just bind using this object instance, bind it to a reference of the method. This one does not have that. So if we do on connected, it has like add lambda, add raw, add static something, or I forget what this one is. Add static threads, add U function, U object. I tried pretty much every one of these. I could not really get it to work. I would either get like class undefined errors, and one of the reasons is because I'm calling an interface object and not a concrete class type. So I think that's why it was kind of weird. So I just went with the lambda, and it's super janky, but it works. Where you add the lambda, you give it this so it can actually call this class, and then you just bind whatever connection methods or whatever you have applied. From that, then I call to the network interface, which is the game instance, and then I say, hey, you just connected, or hey, there's a connection error. And then the game instance can handle these events of on connected or whatever. So yeah, you're going to see a lot of debugging stuff coming up soon. So yeah, that's how sockets work. And network interface is, yeah, it's just handling those. It's just virtual or abstract, no, just virtual, pure virtual functions that are defined on the game instance, which I haven't filled out yet. So another thing I need to do is wire up the network messages. I need to remember how to add structures in Unreal because I don't even remember how to do that. All right, let's go to classes. I want to make sure I know how to do this. New C++ class, show all classes, struct. Should be like a uStruct object. User defined, that's script. Struct user defined, struct editor data. I don't know if it needs to be done here. I might be able to just add them directly. I'm gonna have to look it up because I don't really need it to be garbage collected, so I don't know if it needs to be in here. I will look it up. So I'm gonna work on. But once I have the structs in, I need that for all my message types so I can do the serialization of JSON back and forth. Should be good once that's in, and then I can start working on getting connection and the level stuff. But let's see what I've done, which is not much. It's basically just the menu. So if I just press play, this is it. Like, this is what I got working. So I have my WebSocket server. Just do output log. Hit connect. There we go. So then you can create your group eventually. So select characters. I'm going to work on that 2D frame so you can actually see the characters, and then click them, and then it's going to bring up select your abilities, and then I need to have lock characters. So I need to figure out how I'm going to design this. And another thing is this is going to be for mobile as well, so I need to keep this in mind because there's definitely a lot of restrictions when you're building a mobile game, especially with lighting and triangles and all that other stuff. But yeah, this is going to be a lot of work. Yep. But yeah, I can connect. I can access it from my game instance, and it doesn't crash when I hit stop, which took me probably 45 minutes because again I forgot the life cycle of everything, and I was destroying things when I shouldn't have been and creating things when I shouldn't have been. So I think I'm all set with that now. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I don't have too much else to cover, so I guess what should I continue working on? I guess structures. I need to figure out how to get structs in. So we're going to do some Googling. Unreal uStruct. I think it's called uStruct. Base class, core U object, class uStruct. So I could have sworn you would just implement them. So yeah, for those watch me earlier, I kind of knew what I was doing in Go, kind of knew what I was doing with Phaser. This not so much. So there's going to be a lot more Googling from here on out. Yeah, so why can't I add a new structure? Empty C++. I don't want a class. I just want a struct. Actor component, scene component, player controller, game mode base, world settings, HUD, player state, slate widget, Unreal interface. Why is there no struct? Maybe. Nope. That is so weird. All right. How to create structs using structs. C++ fundamentals. That is the level I'm at. Yeah, I know. I know what a struct is. Do you just, maybe I'll just create like a message class and then I'll just add uStruct to the top of them. That kind of looks like what you do here. Yeah. That makes sense because I do want to have a class for handling the serialization. Yeah, let's see if we can just create a class and then network messaging network interface. Yeah, none. Next. Does it need to be? No, it doesn't need to be. Okay, so messaging. Yep. This will probably fail because it always screws something up in VS Code. Also, coming from Go, I forgot how long C++ takes to compile. Was not ready for that. See, this is broken. Don't need that. Oh, so this one does have the proper constructor and destructor. That's cool. Oh, why is it now complaining? Nope, there it goes. Yeah, and IntelliSense takes for freaking ever. So if we have our messaging class, we're going to need a serialize. I think JSON is F strings. So Unreal has a bunch of different string classes like ftext, fstring, the text macro, and like 2 or 3 other ones. Actually, we probably need to get JSON working too. That might be a module. JSON module. FJSON object. Boop, 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 boop. DOM JSON object. All right. What happens if we just include it? Include errors. Cannot open source by core minimal. This one can. It's in the same freaking folder. Oh god, I hate C++. Alright, let's just try to build. Oh, I never implemented serialize. It's probably gonna hate me for that. Undeclared identifier. What? Did I break everything? Alright, what if I just put a network messaging? Maybe it did need that now. Yeah, I didn't think so. None of the other ones do. U object interface, core minimal. Why are you complaining about WSSocket? Oh, network messaging age not found. We know this. Syntax. Oh, yeah, again. Not implementing. Just leave that empty. Maybe that's why it's failing, because it's not properly. Nope, it still does not like my WebSocket for some reason. Why do you hate me? Messaging serialized. Yep, yep. Be nice if this was not pissed off. Alright, let's get rid of that. Just in case. Void. Build. Redefinition. I hear you. I hear you, Unreal. Or whatever. It really doesn't like... I mean, this was compiling a second ago. The only thing I can think of is that it's not liking this. Include errors. What is wrong? What did it say? Compile commands JSON. Did it not add? Was it messaging? How about you? Message. Oh, weird. It didn't add it. Okay. So what happens if I add it manually? I've never had to do this before, by the way. What was it? Network messaging. Do I need both? Yes. And do I need a reference? Nope. Okay. Try building again. Still didn't like it. Cool, so I broke everything. Nice. Good to know. And one downside of Unreal is when you go... When you create a new class, or when you want to delete a class, it's like this super complicated process where you have to like delete it, delete a bunch of pre-built binary stuff because the hot reload stuff will get screwed up. So it's, yeah. I wonder if just try from here. Output log. I don't know why. All right, I'm going to delete that just to make sure that was the problem. It's not even showing up here. Let's close this. Save selected. And I think I need to delete these two. This is probably gonna break everything. Get rid of these. And I think it's content. No. Intermediate. Saved. I don't remember what it was. I want to say it's the intermediate in binaries. Oh, let's look it up. I don't want to delete stuff by accident. Delete Unreal Engine class. You know, it's not a great sound when you have to look up how to remove a C++ class. Nothing at all. You can still see the class in the editor. Yep. Every reference. Yep, I didn't have any references. Close. Remove. Remove everything in game binaries. Run generate project files. No, I don't have to do that, but I do need to probably delete binaries, game binaries. So I'll just delete that. Which means this next startup's probably going to take a while. Also, let's close this. Reopen Unreal. Don't go there. Don't know what you're doing. Library, Telemetry. Yes, I would like to rebuild them. It could not be compiled. Try rebuilding from source manually. Okay. Good start. Battleometry workspace. Oh man. Probably should have made sure that this compiled before I started streaming. Yep. Oh my god. Why are you doing this to me? Oh, unconnected handle. I know you worked. Did I change something? Undeclared. Oh, Jesus, I did. I deleted those things. Oh my god, I didn't need to do any of that. I deleted those delegates. That's what I did. But I don't think I referenced them anywhere. Line 60. I did need those. Oh, god dang it. Alright. Right. I did need those because I have to delete them as a handle. But no, I totally don't need those because I was never assigning them. So, piss off. Oh, that was a waste of 10 minutes. Thank you. All right, now we can restart our project. It's gonna. Shouldn't need to rebuild. Should be good. Thank you. Let's try this again. So we want network, new C++ class. Do I want it to be empty? I can't think of what else I'd want it to be. Like just a U object? But I don't need, nope, just a normal, none. Messaging. Doop. Sure. Yeah, of course. Precompile failed. Because you add the wrong header every friggin' time. It works. Okay, now, where was I? JSON. Back to JSON. Do I need to DOM builder, object converter, object wrapper? I should probably read up on best ways to use JSON in Unreal. Because I think you can do like a searching for values. So you can just treat it as an object and like pull out the field names. Which means I wouldn't need to create structures. Well, yeah, it'd be kind of weird not to be honest. Hold on, what's this? JSON array string to ustruct, JSON array to ustruct, attributes to ustruct, converts a set of attributes possibly from within JSON to ustruct. Using import text. The hell is that? Object string to use struct. So it seems like there's a lot of nice helpers for JSON, which is good. Problem is when you have this many options, like you don't know which one to use, which one's the best. So again, stuff to search for. Anyways, what was that? Using structs. Advanced. Really? It's going to help you set up structs, give some insight, how they can be customized. Use struct macro, add generated body. Can now tag the struct's member variables with the U property to make them visible to UE's reflection system and blueprint scripting. Oh, that's kind of cool. So I could do like let's just copy it over, see what happens. So inner messaging, test variables, F, I don't know, where are my structures? I already forgot. I think I have like a game message, network message. That's my main one. So this is the one thing I'm not sure how to do, because in Go and TypeScript I could just have like one message that would contain additional JSON, and then I could deserialize the top level message, pull out the type, do another deserialization of the data. And I'm not exactly how to do that. Not sure how to do that with Unreal. But given all those helper functions I just saw, I'm pretty sure it's gonna have something for me. Is there like a deserialize? No. No. Parse. Nope. Okay. Again, I will read a tutorial on this and explain how I got it to work properly later. Anyways, I do need to make sure that I can actually use this stuff. So let's make sure I can include it. Otherwise, I have to do something funky. So what happens if I try to build this? Oh, static struct. Oh, right. Missing type specifier. Static struct is not a member of fMyStruct. I'm going to delete this stuff because I don't debug one thing at a time here. First, make sure I can include JSON. Yes. Second, get ustructs working. Right, so it didn't like fMyStruct. Why was that? Missing type specifier on line 11. Do you... need to declare anything or include anything? U class. Oh, maybe because this isn't a U class? Shouldn't matter. I hate macros. Too much magic. I mean, I get why they did it, but I don't like it. U object base U. Oh, it is a U. Oh, it's a script struct. Class U struct. Oh, so much stuff. So much stuff to learn. I'm wondering because I made like an empty. class. Should have been a proper one, but like there is no static struct. Oh, maybe it needs to be generated. Yeah, generated body. It needs to be generated, so this is not going to work. I don't know if I can just change this to a proper class. Where is it? Not Unreal. Using structs. Nope. Nope. What if I include this? Yeah, it'd be kind of weird to include that, but you never know. Yeah, I think this needs to be a proper class. Okay, I guess we'll delete it again. Close the editor. Boop. And binaries. Delete. And yep, build. Cool. Pretend that never happened. Guess it didn't like me deleting that. Alright, so we're rebuilt. Reopen. Good stuff. So, as I mentioned, things are going to go a lot slower from now on. Can't even get a stupid structure to come in. Ooh. Content browser. Network. Make a UObject class. Just a UObject. That's all I want. Messaging. It's going to do the generated stuff. I wonder if I do need to include it there as well. I really wish they would properly create the headers. Where is it? Messaging. This stuff, this generated, because it generates the code. No export types. Messaging. Stop it. Imagine I could add a path or somewhere to get this to not hate me, but okay, build is successful. Now what happens if we add in a struct? Where was that? Wait, here's some helpful hints. Thing to remember: using structs. Can you use smart pointers? Structs are different from UObjects because of structs are best used for simple data types. That's what I want. UObject will be my serializer. UStructs are not considered for replication. I'm not doing replication. UE has the ability to automatically create make and break functions. Make appears for any. Break appears. Oh, okay, that's just for blueprint stuff. So, what happens if we copy this again? Again, this is like the most basic thing here. Unless I'm missing some way of how this needs to be created from the editor. Needed to be generated. Good to know. Why are you yelling at me? That's bizarro. Cool. Well, okay. So now I can start doing like F network message, and my messaging object can handle I wonder if I could even delete that. Oh, whatever. Messaging object will handle the serialization for it. Yeah. Let's be like public void serialize const f string data. Would it be? It would not be a void return. It would be f network message. I guess this would be deserialize. Yeah, because we take in the string and then we return an f network message. And then when we want to serialize, we take in, we want a f string returned. Yeah. Whatever, serialize. And that needs to be a f. I'm so used to Go stuff. Const f network message. And then we can create 2 implementations. Why did it? That was weird. Where? I wonder why I did that. I probably screwed something up. But now we can include the JSON stuff. Guess it doesn't need to be there. JSON. Done JSON object. Do I need to make JSON a module? That is the question. Yup. Nope. Didn't like my other stuff. See declaration of view object serialize. messaging, deserialize. Split left. What am I looking at here? F network message, U messaging, deserialize. This almost needs to be like a excuse me, like a static class. Because I don't need an instance of it every time. I just need to call the static methods, which I don't remember how to do in C++, so I'll have to look that up too. But luckily we're at time, because now I can go research all this stuff and figure out what I have to do. But yes, the general idea is that I'm going to have a message serializer and deserializer. I don't think it needs to be, I think it just can be a static class. I think that would make more sense. And then you pass it strings to serialize into, do I have this backwards? I feel like I have this backwards. My brain is toast. You want to serialize data to get a string, yes. So deserialize will take the string and return a network message. Yeah, so these need to be static. Do you just do? I forget. But anyways, so I think this needs to be like a reference. I'm still kind of curious why this is yelling at me. U messaging deserialize const f string data message. It has f network message. Yep. F string serialize constant. Member function does not override any base class virtual member function. Yeah. Do I need to? Oh, damn. UObject has... I guarantee there's already a message, or yes, there is serialized JSON, or deserialized JSON, serialize message. That would make sense, because I'm trying to implement a method with the same name, and it's not. Oh, stop it! Stop it! Copy, paste, build. All right, get this build working. Then I'm done. Must return a value. Yes, it does. Return. Oh, you don't create new ones, do you? You don't do new struct. Oh, just f network message. Yeah, that is equal to. God, it's been so long since I did C++. And then f string. Data, whatever. Oh. Returning address of local variable. Maybe. Yeah, that's not a good idea. Anyways, I'll figure this out later, because I'm ready for bed. All right. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Hopefully I'll have a little bit better time next time, and I'll have more stuff completed. Until then, take care.